Hey, everybody, give me just a second. This is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media. I am LSF or Michelle, the one that Matt always calls the Shaman. I want to post this out real fast to my other two pages, and then I'm going to get on with everything. Get that taken care of real fast. Energy, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and energy has been nuts. Completely and totally nuts. But this is actually a good thing. Hold on, I'm about to be there. Alrighty. And I want to put my incense on because, my lord, it has been like a spirit pool of energy over here lately. like I'm just a shade floating through with all the different energies. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping them all nice and positive. Yeah, we got it going. All right. First off, before I get into all of this, Spirit has me very hijacked right now, very full of energy, and at the same time, like I said, it's been a bit of a shade pull or a psycho pump pull. I just have, like, I'm swimming in spiritual energy, so I'm a little bit trying to keep my balance here and stay grounded, but I'm very much a high vibrational, and when I get going, it's even weirder. So, and you'll understand as I start talking more. But yes, we've been crazy lately. I mean, the Schumann resonance has been off the chart, changing and growing, and, just in general. You have geomagnetic storms for the next 2 days at a G1 and 2. Then maybe 3 days. Then you have solar flares that have been taking place. You're having the radiation, which is coming from the solar flares. You're having radio blackouts. You're having spiritual vertigo. I mean, see, on a spiritual maintaining your energy, you might be a little bit of all over the place. It might be a little bit funky, but that's okay. This is kind of like a clean out. And I'm going to really get into the way Spirit has explained it to me. But before I do, I want to throw out two things. Simply because I know how this energy is going to be for the next 6 months, okay? And because I know how, especially for some of you super sensitive people, I have I've created I'm putting them together, my psychic sponge kits, which is the psychic sponge oil, the psychic sponge spray, and the psychic sponge bath, as well as the aura repair. I'm doing them as kits, as the bath, the oil, the spray, because I know some people in their super sensitivity are going to need help with this. Normally I sell them individually, but I am running a deal right now where I'm putting them together so that I could get them out to you people, because I know some of you are going to need help maintaining, your energy and not just sucking up everything that's coming past you like whiplash and energy. So I'm letting you know that I still have my sales going on coming into the next month, which is going to be for all of my products, buy two, get one free. Or if you are looking into creating your own kit, if you're buying 4 items or more, it'll be 30% off. If you're interested in any of that, you come to me directly, because I have these sales going on Facebook. They're not necessarily on Etsy. So I'm saying don't get screwed over in the price. Come to me directly. Otherwise, with that being said, let's get into this week. Holy moly, this is February 27th through March 5th. Now, let me pick up my notes here. Take a sip of my drink real fast. Like I was saying, you got the Schumann resonance. You've got the geomagnetic storms. You've got the radio blackouts, the solar flares. You're having radiation, more or less, leakages, that are coming in the spiritual vertigo. In general, I'm going to go over before I even get into what's going on with the body and the blueprint, some of the typical symptoms that go with some of this funky junk is anxiety, very mood swingy-ish. being overwhelmed in your feelings, sensitivity to negativity, like straight up can't handle the negativity, period. Irritation. Then there's your typical spiritual flu. But there's the aches, the pains, the fatigue, the wanting and needing to be alone, somehow having alone time, the restlessness that you may be feeling, pressure headaches, especially with what's going on in the blueprint. Those pressure headaches might be coming in. Your sleeping habits might be all over the board, not to mention the premonitions and stuff that you're getting with the sleeping. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you can't seem to stay awake. You're just falling asleep at any whim. Maybe you're wired just like me right now and you're running on adrenaline. And it's just, like I said, I'm going to explain our way through this and help you to understand what is going on with the body as well as with the energy in general. Then I'm going to do the astrology like I do and the blueprint. But you could be exhausted, you could be feeling wired, you could be feeling sluggish, just out of your normal habit of sleeping. It may be altered. Then we have the heightened awareness. Now, if you've been following me, I'm trying to get them to slow down. If you've been following me from any amount of time, I've been starting to speak about, with the major changes of these planets that are going to start taking place, not to mention what we're feeling right now with all of, the solar flares, with the geomagnetic storms, with the Schumann resonance. But I've been speaking about the fact Spirit has been warning us on psychic activity, that it is being heightened, but it also is being tweaked in funky little ways, which I'm going to get into a little bit more. Some is very good and some is off. Okay. And you're going to have heightened awareness right now, very psychically, intuitively picking up on stuff. You may be feeling jacked up on the psychic energy. And Spirit is saying, for some of you, if you can read your intuition, if you can trust the gut feeling, if you can trust that psychic energy when it's coming in, then they're giving me a donkey. And a donkey is known for carrying Jesus. A donkey is a spirit guide in the form of a teacher and a leader and helping to guide you. So they're saying if you can understand your intuition, you can understand this, then this might be a very good thing. But if you're off with it, if it feels off, trust that. Definitely. Because like I said, there is a little bit of that psychic weird stuff going on. And as I get into the blueprint and more of that, I'm going to explain it. But you may be getting answers to your answers to things from within you, starting to feel it, starting to resonate with it. You might be noticing increased synchronicities or deja vu that makes no sense. That's part of what I'm talking about when I'm saying on a medium level right now, I'm kind of sifting through a pool, a psychopump pool, a shade pool of energy, of some that's crossed, some that haven't, some that's, ancestral, some that's, with the stars and the Schumann resonance and everything else. It's not necessarily all bad, but it is like a pool of energy right now. Okay. And some of that is going to give you the right answer. Some of that's going to give you the synchronicities, but some of that's going to be deja vu. And some of it's going to make absolutely no sense. Just understand some of it's going to make no sense. But you're going to have the ears ringing. You're going to have more of the uncentered and unbalanced feeling. And that goes with the spiritual vertigo. You may feel like your earth is moving in different directions. You may start to have a problem comprehending within your balance, your spiritual soulful balance, what is right and what is wrong. And this is the contemplation of you working through this. Basically, like I said, spiritual vertigo is the spiritual right and wrong, the spiritual higher vibration, the spiritual lower vibration. And this actually has to do with the margin that is being shifted. And I'm going to explain that again here in a few minutes because there's so much to talk about tonight. Now, you may have the dreams, the nightmares, the premonitions coming in, as well as their exact words was time trimming. time trimming and or time tracing. And a lot of times when they're dealing with solar flares and so forth, they speak of, it feels like time's moving faster or time's moving incredibly slower. But this is more of that burrito effect, not just the faster movement or the slower movement. This is why they were explaining it as time trimming or time tracing. So this may be that you are having, with that spiritual vertigo, moments of like, I'm here talking to you in real life, but all of a sudden I could have felt myself way the hell over there, and then I'm back. Weird little things like that. This is why I'm saying try to ground yourself as much as you can, pamper yourself and give yourself as love, all that you can, but realize these are definitely spiritual upshifts of energy. It is definitely kicking up a lot of energy. This is why I'm saying that shade pull, that psychopump pull, that psychic pull that is just sifting, and we're kind of all walking through it. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but like I said, it's very sensitive right now. The thing with that energy is Spirit has been reminding me, because of the planets that are moving, because of what is going on with all of this energy, the psychic energy that's being, moved around and so forth, you do want to very much make sure you are protecting yourself, staying in your grounded energy, staying in your self-love energy. But at the same time, understanding when you're getting false information from the person or the place or the energy, and making sure that you're sifting deep enough. This is what I often call, when I'm talking to my clients, I'm like, did you make it past the first wave? The first wave of energy may give off a foul energy, but it may be a wounded energy. It may not be giving you the correct energy of what it really is, unless you can dig deep enough to see the truth, the depth there, and understand in that. This has a lot to do with that spiritual psychic vertigo. Okay. And being open for psychic attacks by naiveness, by being naive, but also just by being, unaware, ungrounded, not paying any attention, and bam. So this is why I was saying I also have the sales on that stuff. But this has a lot to do with your zeal point, the head energy, which I'm going to start explaining when we get into the blueprint. But what Spirit is saying, first off, Spirit is reminding me, because I have so many people who are constantly coming in and asking me, it's been change after change after change since, 2020. Is this ever going to stop? No. It is going to stop. It's going to have phases. But what Spirit is really giving me is, yes, you have a lot of this planetary energy that's about to take place in the next 3 months. But that's not going to end then. Truthfully, a lot of this has to do with that 2,000 year, age of each sign, and how we're coming out of that age of Pisces and age of Aquarius. We're creating it. We're actually cementing it into becoming what it is. With that being said, Spirit is saying, don't even get the idea through your head that this changing stuff, this shifting stuff is remotely going to start coming to an end until Neptune moves into Aries, and probably at least until 2027. It moves into 2025 into Aries. So you are only in 2023. We are going through major changes, and it's not about to end. So this is saying, in one sense, yes, we need you to be grounded. We need you to start being higher vibrational. But this is where they're coming in. What is happening, especially right now, with the major changes that the planets are about to take, the equinox that's going to be coming in, how Jupiter will be moving in the end of March. You have Saturn and Pluto, which is going to be moving. No, Jupiter is moving in April. Saturn and Pluto is moving in March. Okay. And we're going through the equinox energy. The equinox has to do with balance. It has to do with going right over the balance of things. Not to mention, I cannot say enough times to people that stay away from the equator if you can around this time. Not that it's necessarily going to be a bad thing, but what I am getting from spirit, especially outside of the United States, is during the energies of February through April, or the end of February, pretty much March, April, and May. Around that equinox, kind of like 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, that energy. Closer to the equator, the balance, the equinox, going over that energy is where you start to have more natural disasters. So this is just, saying this isn't the best time for you to be taking tours in that area. And I throw that out every year, and I'm just throwing it out there because I've been being told this for about 10 years now. But with this energy of the equinoxes coming in, with these major changes right now, the way spirit, and don't hold this against me, I am not a scientist. I am not scientifically inclined and be smart and intelligent in all of those ways. But I know the way spirit is explaining it to me, to give it to me, to give to you. The way spirit is explaining a lot of this energy that we're going through right now in the next 2 months. But you're going to be seeing pieces of this all the way up through 2027 as we make these major changes. Spirit is explaining it to me. They take me like out into space. And what they're showing me is a stellanova, a supernova, and a nova. Now, a nova or a supernova is the colossal explosion of the star. A stellanova is more of the creation of the star. A nova is more dealing with the dwarf planets, the smaller energy. But what's happening is the energy is all being pulled in. Think of Jupiter. Jupiter is a magnification. Anything Jupiter touches, it amplifies on. Okay? Anything Jupiter touches, he magnifies on, it amplifies, becomes more abundant. So what spirit is giving me is I want you to look at the idea and understand what is happening with these stars. They're either being created or it is the collapse and the star explodes. These energies, and I think it's Hadrian, I could be wrong. Like I said, I am not a scientist. This is not necessarily my area. It's the way spirit is explaining it to me. Is it starts pulling in energy and pulling in energy and pulling in energy until it starts heating up so much that it starts to burn, and then finally it explodes. Okay, that's a supernova. But a stellanova starts to pick up the debris from all of these explosions and slowly over time starts pulling it in, creating a new star. My darlings, you are the star. The planet itself is trying to upgrade in its vibration. We've been talking about this for a long time, but you're actually really, truly, deeply starting to feel the energy of this. No, the planet's not going to explode. Well, what I'm trying to say, and neither are you, what the spirit is giving me is all of the negatives that are coming out is that debris that starts coming into a supernova. All that energy that's being pulled in and lit on fire and lit on fire and lit on fire until it finally explodes. And then the new debris starts to recollect and create a new star. We're creating a new vibration, but we're not. We're creating a vibrational margin. Now, if you've heard me speak of vibrational energy before, I'm like, every vibration has a margin. Say that I look at it when like when you're using paper. Okay. When you're using paper, you have margins at both sides of the paper. When you're using a computer, you have margins at both sides of the computer. You can't write in the margins. You're supposed to stay on the inside of the margin. Well, let's take that idea of the margin. Let's turn it upright and we'll use it as a ladder. The top of the margin is way high at the top of the page. The bottom of the margin is at the lower part of the page. Higher is higher vibration. Lower is lower vibration. You have a vibration sequence within a vibration. Okay? The idea here is to understand we're in the margin of collecting all the negatives, and it's lifting all the way up to the top to where it's going to explode. All of that negative has to come out. And we've been saying this for a long time, but you're feeling it now. You're seeing it everywhere. From major society situations to just your day-to-day activity. You're seeing it in where people have been able to get away with things because, well, that's who they were. And now all of a sudden, wait a minute, there's a new sheriff in town. That shit don't fly anymore. What Spirit is explaining to me is in this nova, supernova, the star energy, your vibrational energy, is if you had the vibration, like on that ladder of 1 through 10, 1 would be the low vibration, 10 would be the high. Well, we're shifting that margin. We're coming up to +2. And instead of being at 1, we're coming up to 3. So 3 to +2. The margin of vibration is moving up. What is happening is it has to come out, it has to explode, it has to be gotten rid of. But at the same time, the margin of vibration is shifting, forcing the low vibration to not be as low as it was. It will be a different kind of low. And this is how we start to move up and out of the energy we've always known. This has to do with understanding the way Spirit puts it to me. It's an old movie, but if you've ever seen the movie The Fifth Element, at the end of the movie The Fifth Element, she's the element. You are the element. You are the star. At the end of the movie, her job is to stand in the middle when the world was supposed to explode, because she's the element. She's the fifth element. She's that psychic energy. And all of the earth energy, the fire energy, the water energy, all of the elements came together into her to when she blew up like a supernova and she became the element. This is what they're explaining is happening. Our source energy is illuminating, is learning how to become the element, to become that star, and to shift into a vibration that's literally moving the planet and ourselves out of what it was. But even though we are moving out of it, there always has to be a low vibration in the margin, and there has to be a high one. In order to keep moving, you've got to go 2 + 4. Start at 4. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You have to keep moving the margin up, and those others will fall away. But this has to do with it being that element, being that star, being the fifth element. If you've never seen the movie, go back, at least watch the very end of the movie to understand what I'm talking about. Okay? And this is how we're starting to move this. With this being said, Spirit is also giving me another form of understanding, and I say this all the time. We have to get out of auto brain. And I always use the Matrix movie, when Neo first got out of the Matrix and they plugged him in the back of the head, and they were training him how to do jujitsu and karate and everything. And Morpheus comes in and he's like, how long has he been at it, at this training, where they plugged him back into the Matrix? And the one guy is like, he's been at it for hours. He's a machine. This is part of what I'm talking about. We have to break away from that auto brain. But we've been programmed for so long, we're still a machine. But the thing is, Spirit is trying to teach us as we come into that supernova energy of ourselves, as we come into that fifth element, that star energy of ourselves, we have our own mainframe. We can reprogram. And learning how to tap into the reprogramming, and so that you're the one in charge of it. And noticing when you're getting caught up in auto brain has a big thing to do with it. And this has a lot to do with the zeal point, a lot to do with the third eye, and what is actually going on in the brain. Now, Spirit comes in, true to my, how I always put it, living in my Alice in Wonderland world and my cartoon land world. Spirit comes in with, I'm a love machine. And I work for nobody. The song goes, I work for nobody but you. But they start singing it to me and they won't shut up. I'm a love machine and I work for nobody but me. And really what I'm getting is a whole lot of spiritual energy, like with that Wednesday Addams Family movie, you know, where they're dancing kind of all awkward. But this is speaking to you of tapping into you, not the auto brain, tapping into what makes you feel good. The love machine, if you go back and you listen to it, it's even, the way Spirit is putting it, it's even speaking to you about tapping into rewiring your brain. Rewiring and getting away from the auto. They just said auto repair. Anyway, what they're giving me though is that love machine personality, that energy, that no, you know, you've got to feel it. You've got to feel that love machine. But what is love? That's where the problem comes in. You have so many spiritual leaders out there who are like, love is everything. It is. But is that giving you an answer? See, unfortunately, love isn't foo-foo. Okay? Love can have some silent treatment. Love can have, you know, a little bit of tough love. Love is unconditional, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. What they're giving to me is if love be rough with you, you be rough with love. Romeo and Juliet. Anyway, what they're giving me is you got to stand your ground. Love isn't foo-foo. It isn't you're just going to fall over to be nice and kind. This is part of what I'm saying about you're going to see those people coming in who've just had it handed to them. Well, I get away with that because, well, I'm me. No. There are rules and there are regulations. Some rules I've been saying for months are meant to be broken. Some are needing to have your foot put down and be like, guess what? New sheriff in town. Just because you used to get away with that shit before does not mean it will continue. But that doesn't mean that you're being negative. That doesn't mean that you're being evil. This is, if love be rough with you, be rough with love. Stand your ground. Don't fall less important to somebody else. Love is unconditional, but love also values itself. At the same time, it values others. Spirit is saying in this energy, take the idea of, if you want to use it as the tarot, that's fine. Or that whole princess, queen, warrior idea. You're not the queen. You're not the king. You're not the prince. You're not the princess. You're the freaking emperor. Each one of you are the emperor of your own life. So don't bow down just because somebody else is like, oh, I am queen or I am king. There should be a universal energy here. Spirit is reminding us we are reinventing how we identify with the world around us and ourselves. Your identity is being shifted according to your growth. Your identity is being shifted according to how authentic you're starting to become, to where you're connecting to your source energy, where you're connecting to that inner star, that supernova of moving up in vibration. The way you view the world changes. It's not just your identity, it's the identity of how we view our world, how we scope our world, how we portray it. This takes me all the way back to the beginning when Spirit is going donkey. Again, you hear people all the time going, if you want to see, if you want to be part, you have to be part of the change. But we have so many people out here, so many light workers out here, so many spiritual activists out here who's doing so much talking. Well, you got to remember to be part of the change. You've got to get in the trenches and remember how to teach others. Not to mention that this also has a lot to do with that empath energy. When you identify with something, you open yourself up to feeling more of it. And empaths, I'm sorry to say it, but that's part of why it's called sensitivity. Empaths and sensitives typically, even mediums, typically connect more with the negative than they do the positive. Not because they want to, but because there's so much lower vibration. But the problem is we also become that psychic sponge and we start to suck all of that energy up into us, and it gets stuck in your gut. It gets stuck in your chakras. It gets stuck in how you create your relationships, because we're looking at it from lower vibrations in that energy. If you're identifying this, when we try to teach you to create a shield, when we try to teach you how to protect yourself, this is why I named my product Psychic Sponge, because it's like eating bread. You just put it in and you become bigger. You soak up more, and then it's hard to get rid of all the energy that you brought in, even though it wasn't good for you. If you're identifying and paying attention to all this negative energy, well, you're becoming a psychic sponge. And I tell people all the time, the difference in a medium who does this or a spiritual worker is we're getting paid to do that. You may not. We're getting paid to put ourselves in that line of fire and to help people heal and to understand and to get rid of that energy. If you're identifying with the lower vibrations and the negative stuff, you're saying, hey, I'm an attraction to it. It's in my law, my law of vibration. It's in my, law of attraction. This is speaking to us about only paying attention to love. Only reacting to love, but remembering. This is the key. Love isn't foo-foo. Love is a powerful energy, but love also is capable of going, yes, I love you, but your ass is wrong. And this is what I mean by some of these rules. We have to make sure we're holding our ground. When I start to get into the blueprint, you have Venus going over the brain and the eyes this week. You have Vista going over the eyes this week. You have Jupiter going over the eyes as well as the tongue. You have Chiron, which is the frontal lobe. You have Juno, which is the muscles within the brain. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much to you, but what did I just say with all that spiritual energy, with all that electromagnetic energy, that was them, with all of the geomagnetic energy? They were putting that right into your brain when they changed it to electromagnetic. This is the nerves in your brain, how it is identifying with what you see, hear, smell, talk, taste. All of that. All from your eyes, your ears, your nose, your smell. What are you identifying with? And then that sends the nerves, it lights up, it sends it all the way through, connecting to that zeal point into the chakras and going up and down, psychic attack or not. The pressure headache is in Aries right now. The sign is overloaded. And you've got, for most of the week, you have Venus, Vista, Jupiter, and Chiron almost in a straight row. So that's like all in the head. And the psychic activity off the chain, but may also be blocked and acting in funky ways. Because so much pressure coming in, so much abscess is what they just said, abscess of spiritual energy flowing. So this has to do with you also taking you time, balancing time, breathing time. Some people will use certain incense to help clear their energies, or incense or oils, I should say. I keep saying, for me, when it happens, I feel like my head is in not a spaceship. Like my head is in a plane and like I gotta pop my ears. This is part of what I'm talking about. So you have all of this energy connecting with your nerves and, lighting up and sending signals. The brain is what's determining how we react to these energies, how we view them, how we're connecting the dots, adding it up. When we get into Taurus energy, you have that North Node, which is everything you need to learn in order to move forward. Everything you need to learn in order to move forward. This is directly on the vocal cords. It's been there for a while. Speaking about, are you speaking? Are you expressing your truth or not? Or the exact opposite. Are you just only expressing your truth? You ain't listening to anybody else's. Uranus is the esophagus and our breathing energy. Your ability to continue to breathe. Your ability to speak, breathe, continue with life has a lot to do with this. Lilith has a lot to do with this week because she's having a lot going on with everybody, especially in Aries. Hold on, I'll get there when I get there. You have Mars, which is literally speaking on energies of asthma. Breathing is going over the ribs, but breathing, really pulling into the chest energy. Gemini, Mars, heart chakra. Gemini, in the sense of Jekyll and Hyde, logic and emotion. You have to have a balance here. You have to create that balance here. You're not supposed to be all logic or all emotions. If we're all emotions, then we aren't in control of ourselves. But if we have no heart, then we're like a drone. How is your heart telling you feel? Are you acting from genuine Mars energy, passion, fire, action, masculine taking action, or is it aggression and having to force your energy to be heard? Cancer has Pallas in it, which is still the more or less where I'm being told that a lot of this energy is solar plexus and sacral chakra energy. But Lilith this week is still in the heart. She's going to be in the heart. She's been really freaking slow, but she is definitely having conversations with that Pisces energy and with that Pisces energy, with that Scorpio energy, as well as with that Aries, and especially, I mean, that Aries energy. Everything going on in the brain, heart, head, brain, heart, head, coming back and forth, heart, back and forth. That's a supernatural highway between the heart and the head, between the higher realms, the third eye, and are you connecting or not? This is where we hold all of this is where the throat chakra gets all jammed up, because the heart, because in that supernatural highway between the heart and the head, your shoulders, your neck, your back of your neck, your throat. All of this gets jammed up with I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, what if I had done that? What if I could have done? Maybe I shoulda. That shit will drive you mad. What happened, happened. All we have is now and into the future. Don't let yourself drive yourself crazy with the coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's the supernatural highway being out of control and showing you just how out of control it is by how much you hear yourself having this conversation. And it's affecting the heart and the way that you think and view the world. Make a decision. Speak it. You have Ceres, which is on the kidneys, the lower back, as well as the adrenal system. This has to do with removal of energies that are not serving us anymore. The relationship house, 7th house, speaking to you about justice and harmony. Is it in harmony or is it not? Don't lie to yourself. Libra is very bad about that, wanting to create harmony and balance for everybody while it doesn't get any. And this is saying, are you happy with the relationships you have? Is your sacral chakra and your solar plexus being able to glow? Are you that love machine? Are you able to express it in your life? Because if not, you're getting all that shit stored up in here. And it's going to be causing more problems. And then you have Mercury and Saturn this week, which you're going to be moving into Pisces. Mercury is your communication. Saturn is making its big move into Pisces. This is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, moving into the psychic activity. Moving into where the sun is, as well as where Neptune still is until 2025. Okay? And I believe technically they're both moving out at that time. So you're looking at 2 years of this, at least. And Pisces is illusion and delusion. It's fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh reality. It's where you can create the same lie over and over and over and over and over again because you're comfortable in it, or you could create the power of you. You can create that supernova. You can become that new star. You can come into that energy. And it's up to you. It's the 12th house is all about healing our grief, our sorrow, our shame, our bitterness, what we hide, under the rug, our skeletons in the closets that's created their own skeletons in the closet. We done forgot about why in the world we had a problem with it in the first place. You have nostalgia that's going to be coming in again and again, more and more and more. Some of these are triggers and helping that Saturn energy start to go, what am I looking at? But the thing is, Saturn's not exactly in the most powerful place here. And we're talking about it moving into Pisces. This is the feet. This is stomping, literally stomping, tripping, walking into things, twisting your ankle, stubbing your toe, feet cracking. This is, pieces of the body's blueprint speaking to you about what this is. The communication. Are you walking into things? Like I said, your feet are responsible for taking you every single place you go, unless, of course, you're in a wheelchair. Your feet are held responsible for everything that you do. Again, part of that universal 12th house, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and insecurities is where we hide our truths from ourselves. Your feet are responsible for everything you do because they are what walked you there. You have that Pluto energy that's going to be moving out of Capricorn. It's going to be still sitting on 29 degrees, slapping you down with the authority of the outer world. Will you continue to let that authority take charge or not? It's sitting in the knees and it's starting to come into those calves starting to come into that part of the legs. Are you feeling it? Not to mention, Saturn is also your skin, your skeletal system, your teeth. Have your teeth been hurting? Have you had rashes that are strange all of a sudden? This is Saturn. Saturn is on the body, the skeleton, the skin, and the teeth. It is the difference between that outer world and you. So it is the boundary. And the bones of the skin and stuff along this line, if they're acting up, then this has a lot to do with just how comfortable Saturn is with what's going on, with already what's going on inside of you. Mercury has a lot to do with anything that you have two of. Both sides, your lungs, your breathing, how your brain works. Again, talking about that Aries energy. And Pluto has to do with your ability to bounce back, to heal the immune system. And like I said, Lilith, the heart, she's beating down on these things. I'm not taking this shit anymore. So if the chest is hurting, this is talking about you need to love you more. Start giving yourself that respect. Whether it's physical, health, eating, or just emotional. This is all part of your blueprint. You also have, we're coming towards that full moon that is going to be taking place on the 9th, which is considered the crow moon. The crows have a lot to do with both worlds going back and forth. In Libra, where Ceres is still in retrograde. That's the threefold, guys. That's next week, but I'm getting you prepared. It is your relationship zone, what relationships and what you're identifying with, what you're allowing in your life. Like they were saying earlier, only react to love. If it is less than love, do not identify with it. Because you'll be surprised at what will start to come in when you don't lower yourself into the other. But we're programmed in that auto brain to, interact with that, to fight back. It's not about not fighting back. It's about addressing it from that higher vibration. Because I'm a love machine, and connecting with reconnecting your mainframe to work for you. Like I said, you have the full moon, which is bringing everything to attention throughout this week so that it is able to do that when it comes to the full moon, the crow moon on the 9th in Libra with Ceres here. This is going to be passing it before it gets to there. But Ceres is the threefold. She is karma. She speaks to you about what is being nurtured and what is being neglected. What are you paying attention to in the relationships? Is the nurturing there, or is there more neglect? Pay attention to what you're creating in these relationships and what you're allowing. You have a lot of opportunities that are taking place there. A lot of opportunities. As I get into the actual astrology, you have Mars, which is in that 3rd house, which is getting along great with Aries. The passion, the action, the aggression. Mars is in the Gemini energy. It is willing to try new things, but it's also passion, action, aggression. You're a warrior. So are you speaking up immaturely? Are you too busy knowing everything to realize there might be something here to learn? Sometimes we have to not pipe down, but we have to be quiet enough to really, are we hearing? Are you really hearing what all is going on before you make those actions, before you throw that out there? Because like I said, you've got that pressure energy in the head, in the brain right now with this Venus, with Chiron, with Jupiter, with Juno, with Vista. abundantly. The brain is on fire, more or less. The brain is on fire to by connecting to Chiron, the wounded healer. Am I still wounded? How can I fix it? Da da da. Abundantly. Jupiter. Anything Jupiter touches, he magnifies and makes it more. That does not mean Jupiter always makes it better. This is identifying with how you identify with your own character and what are you trying to create. This is Venus showing you what is sensitive about yourself and where you need to grow, where you're able to use your charm to work for you or where you're not using it. Mars, communication. It's there. And it is speaking directly to the sun in the form of it. If you use this energy right, if you slow down, you can shine and glow right now because sun is in Pisces. You could illuminate anything to work for you because others aren't on top of things. 12th house, grave star, shame, blame, insecurities. It's where we don't always see the truth. Illusion and delusion. There is going to be people out there who are aware of this that's going to try to knock you sideways. Energies that are going to try to knock you sideways. Are you going to slow down and be in control? And are you going to shine through? Or are you going to get knocked down because you fell for their shine? Just giving it to you like it is. You also have that Mars and that Aries energy, which is getting along great with Uranus. Again, standing in that power. Being the possession of your own self. Being the star. Being that element. Which then is starting to get along again with the sun and right back to Aries. You could shine this week, but you got to slow down long enough to know how to maneuver it properly. Don't get carried away by emotions and just really quickly make the decisions. That's the problem with the Aries energy. I want what I want, and I want it right now. Slow down. See your way through it. You have the North Node, which is in that second house, speaking to you about, are you in your power? Or is somebody else or something else in possession of your power? It's really what it comes down to. And it is speaking directly with the sun. In Pisces, are you in denial about your power? Or are you realizing exactly what and how you have to step to get into your power? To make the healing take place. To breathe the magic into life. It's your own breath. How are you using it? You have Neptune, which is in that, it's like I think still at 27 or 28 degrees. 2 years left. Yeah, 2 years left. We're at the butt end of its lesson here. And it's speaking directly to Venus, which is in the 11th house. And it's speaking directly to Pluto, which is in the 10th house. And this is your groups, your memberships, and the authority of the outer world. What are you a part of? I mean it literally that way. What are you associated with? Because what you are associated with is either showing you where it's going to help you or where it's going to harm you. Neptune doesn't care what kind of magic it creates. It simply fulfills what you give it. If you're in denial and you're not seeing the truth and paying attention to creating your magic, fantasy versus smacking you in the face with harsh reality. If you're in energies that are not becoming for you, they might knock you down to teach you, oh, we need to make some changes. Even though that might hurt, it may be an opportunity to get you on the right path. Otherwise, it may be showing you exactly how to make sure you're on the right path by acknowledging the groups, the memberships, your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, the outer world and its authority, your honor, your reputation. All of this has to do with what you are associated with. And where is that going to help or hinder you? You also have very good energies with that Lilith and the heart, and not just the heart chakra, but this is also speaking about you know, our fun zone, our creative energy. The fifth house is all about your hobbies and your expression. It's about living the fullest life and enjoying it, wanting to be able to do it and having the time and the ability to do it. Like I said, a famous singer didn't get famous by going, well, I don't have time to play my guitar. I don't have time to go to practice. They made time. That artist, that sports person, they made time. Are you making time for what makes you tick, for what you want, for what you enjoy? Why are you here? Not like the job that you are here to do. We're all here for something. But what is it that makes you happy? Are you having time for that? And that is speaking directly with Aries. You're seeing what is able to make time. This is speaking about your character, identifying, identity. You create your reality. You're able to do this, but you have to see how to speak your mind, how to connect with it, and make sure that you've decided that it is going to be part of the identity of you. You also have that South Node, which is in the 8th house, which is getting along great with the Sun. This one may not necessarily be as good. What I mean by that is we're in the Pisces energy. We are illuminating the best way of me putting this. Pisces are big, compassionate, big, loving-hearted people, but they're also the sweetest, naive things sometimes. And what I mean by that is they're the one who's going to bring home the stray dog, which is a good thing and is a right thing until you find out the stray dog that you brought home was the asshole that robbed you. Okay? Sometimes you should know better. You should trust that intuition. This is what I'm talking about. You're going to see a lot of that energy popping up this week because for some people, that's going to be good. For some, that's not. This is healing your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, or showing you where you're really not doing it, because the 8th house is where you're not growing. It's the South Node. The South Node speaks about where you're not growing, where you've gotten comfortable. This is the rules, the walls, the boundaries of the people that you have in your life, the relationships, and will they rebirth? So it's asking you this week, are you rebirthing? Or are you illuminating your shine as the same person over and over again, and it's just time to get another lesson? You also have that South Node having that same kind of energy with Saturn and with Mercury as it moves into Pisces. The rules, the walls, the boundaries, the communication. This is a great energy if you can trust the person to really work something for you, to breathe something new into reality. But this is not a naive energy. Make sure that you are not just opening the door to anything, even though it's considered a positive thing. It may be positive for the other person. Like I said, a lot of this energy is becoming that 5th element, becoming the element, becoming the star, going, you know what? I have a lot of love and I'm only going to connect with love. But you know what? You got to rise. You got to rise. Some of these things that you used to get away with, just not anymore. We're not going to play these games anymore. Sometimes love has to put them in their place. Very unpredictable energies this week with Pluto still at that 29 degrees. And speaking with that Aries. Pluto's death, decay, and destruction. It's though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil from the outer world, from the authority, by taking your own honor and reputation in your own hands and being responsible for it, speaking to it about see you, what your identity is. How is your brain thinking? This isn't a narcissistic energy. This is coming into your power energy, taking that power back. But this is standing its ground. Like I said, it's unpredictable because if you do it wrong, that's going to be a whole lot of like lion in a cage energy, feeling like the authority is trying to push you out. And when you lose your power because you're emotionally detached, that's what's going to happen. Unpredictable. It's up to you to be in control of you. You have that Mercury and that Saturn as it goes from the 11th house to the 12th house. It's speaking with the North Node. The 11th house is the groups and the memberships that you are part of, the committees that you are part of, that you associate with outside world that is able to help you create your world. And then it moves into the 12th house. Are you seeing the people for who and what they really are? Are you seeing the world you're creating for who and what it really is? Unpredictable energy, because if you're putting yourself in harm's way, you might find something get jammed up and teach you a lesson. Otherwise, it's giving you the lesson of how to make sure you're doing this right. The North Node is everything you need to learn about moving forward. But in Uranus and Taurus, and I say it that way because Uranus is still in Taurus, we're talking about the power and possession of you. And I'm just gonna say it. I've been saying it slowly here and there over and over again. I am definitely talking about some battered situations right here. Either you're coming into your power, or that idea of love that isn't love, that allows things to get out of control. I am talking about someone or something else being the possession of you. I don't want to see any battered situations. And I have been being reminded by a spirit that's been reminding me all day, following me around, from a haunted place that I was at before, where she was abused and her children was taken away. So I'm saying this is definitely speaking about loving yourself, protecting yourself, and not falling for some of that bullshit, because you don't want to learn that lesson that way. You also have unpredictable energy coming from Lilith, which is in that fifth house, speaking to the sun, illuminating grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, the healing. Are you nurturing or neglecting the change? If you're neglecting the change, you're putting the sun and illuminating, I don't want the change, I'm not going to go for the change, I'm going to look this way and it's just never going to happen. No, it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, Lilith is speaking to the heart. Don't put your heart under scrutiny. This is asking you to really get deep with what you want, with what makes you tick. Are you getting these things in life? If not, explore why. Why are you allowing it to continue? This can be a very positive thing, helping you step into that power. But, like I said, you have a lot of that higher psychic energy out there, a lot of that psychic attack energy. I've been telling you, like I just said, and she's standing right here, I have the lady from a haunted mansion that she was sexually abused and her children were taken away from her. This is definitely speaking to you about seeing the truths, protecting yourselves, and not getting caught in those. It'll be all right. Will it? This is about making those changes, becoming that fifth element, becoming the star. Are you? Because if not, things are going to really start to collapse to show you how we need to get you on board. You have the South Node, which is also having very unpredictable energies with Aries. The South Node is the relationships. It's the rules, the walls, the boundaries that change the relationships, that breathe birth into new relationships, that allow the cycle to continue and change or remain the same. And all that head pressure that's in Aries right now, Chiron, Jupiter, Venus, sensitivity, this is the time to know yourself. Slow down and think your way through this stuff. Don't just react through your emotions. Because this can be very good, but if you take it the wrong way too fast, it can turn very bad. Then you have the South Node. These are coming into the bads, or the challenging ones. The South Node, which, like I said, is that 8th house. It's birth, death, rebirth, and the ability to actually do so. Fertility, what are you giving birth to? What are you creating again and again and again, or creating new? How are you changing the relationship you have with the world and just yourself? It's not getting along with Lilith. It's not getting along with you creating any of that heart, any of that expression, any of that fun. More push it to slave energy. Do as I say. You're used to that. Just shut up and be happy with it. You also have it not getting along with Mars. Communicating. Will you stand your ground? Will you love yourself? Will you speak up in the right way? Or will it turn into a big fat battle? Because Mars is your warrior in the heart chakra, which truthfully right now is being controlled by Lilith, trying to go, hey, I'm trying to give you just enough ego to freaking love yourself. And it's not getting along with Neptune. So that energy right there is going, sit up, sit down, shut up, be who you've always been. It'll be fine. And keep going the way you always have been. Hold on one second. Okay. I'm trying to just make you see the situation so you're going in the right directions, so you don't give up on yourself. You don't kind of have that overwhelming and sit down. And this is about being that warrior. Like they say before, hi, my beautiful boy, my kitty. Say hi to everybody, Neppy. And his name's Neptune, so he's talking about your magic. This is like they say, the warrior. You know, he's not kneeling because he's given up. He's preparing himself for that battle. This is having that kind of energy before we get up. We're in that power. We're in that supernova. We're in that element of, here we go. I am a new vibration. I am a new me. I'm creating that. You have that Lilith energy, and that 5th house is not getting along with that Pluto energy at the very end of that outer world. Again, heart space. Heart space. What makes you tick? What makes you enjoy life? What do you burn for? What do you want to do with life what makes you enjoy being alive? Is the world going to give you time for it? Authority, the outer world, society, your honor, your reputation, your job. You have to make time for you. You have Mars, which is not getting along with Lilith, which is not getting along with the South Node. And then all the way back around. Communication, heart space, that relationship, and the rules, walls, and boundaries. Can you make the change? The change will be asked of you this week. Will you do it? You also have Mars, which is not getting along with that North Node. Being able to be the possession of yourself. And then it's not getting along with Neptune. Being able to heal it and start something new. Believing in your own, though I walk through the shadow of death, there is nothing here to fear. as well as it's not getting along with Lilith again. This has everything to do with your heart, what you want to be, what you want to take part in your life, what makes you enjoy life, what makes you tick. Are you getting time for these things? Are you getting to enjoy life? Because if not, it's about to get a whole lot worse if you continue to let it go that way. Aries, in your head, all that pressure cooker right now is not getting along with Mercury or Saturn, setting those rules and communicating it. But it all comes down to, will you readdress your own mainframe? Can you get it out of autopilot and start to be in your own mainframe? And as Spirit put it, get into your I'm a love machine. Enjoy your life. Don't let the world try to dictate a fucking thing to you. I love you guys. Bye.